Hi Hamilton friends, Mrs. Teed here. I have a video to share with you today about a little monster named Mojo who decides he wants to go off the high dive, but at first that seems like an overwhelming challenge. The reason I picked this for this week is because we are beginning a big challenge, transitioning back to 4 and 5 days of in-person learning or staying a remote student while most of the kids are in school. Either way you look at it, this is a mega challenge we're taking on. School has been really untraditional this year. And so we have a lot of learning and catch up that we're going to do in this fourth quarter. So don't let yourself get overwhelmed. It's like Mojo with the high dive. We're going to take little steps and we're going to get there, but we need you to show up ready to work, ready to take on challenges and try hard things. I believe in you and you can do it. I hope you enjoy the story of Mojo.
Summertime. School was out and Mojo was living large. Until one day when Katie stopped by with some great news. "Mojo, the pool is open," she said. Mojo loved the community pool. Floating blissfully with his friends, he would wonder, is there anything better than this? No, of course there wasn't. Until one day, suddenly, there was. Where last summer there had only been one diving board, management was now adding 2 brand new diving boards. A small, fun-sized board and a spectacular, death-defying high dive. Mojo strode boldly to the high dive. It looked even taller from up close, but never mind. He began the long climb to the top. All eyes were on Mojo. But when he arrived at the top, something was different. The water that looked so inviting earlier now looked as solid and hard as concrete. A faint voice from below. "Move it, kid. Go on down." But Mojo was frozen in place. Finally, he inched himself back down the ladder, back to safety. "Scary up there, huh?" said Katie. "Come on, let's do the small board." That's okay," said Mojo. I'm gonna go warm up in the shallow end." And so Mojo sat in the shallow end, defeated. Every so often a friend would stop by and say, "Mojo, have you checked out the new diving board? Come on!" But every time Mojo so much as looked at that end of the pool, all he could think about was the paralyzing fear up on the high dive. Is Mojo doomed to spend the rest of the summer in the shallow end with the babies? Or can he conquer his fear? What do you think? Last time, Mojo got scared while trying to go off the high dive, but he quickly resolved to conquer his fear. "Okay," he said, "you want to dance? Let's dance. The question you have to ask yourself is, do you feel lucky? Well, do you? Plank." But even thinking about getting back on the high dive made Mojo freeze with fear. And he decided maybe he would have more fun at home. And at home he stayed. Until one day, when Katie stopped by. "Why haven't you been at the pool?" she said. "Psh, the pool. Who needs it?" said Mojo. "I'm having more fun right here." "Still scared of the high dive, huh?" "Terrified," said Mojo. "You have to help me, Katie. All I want is to bathe in that sweet, cooling blue refreshment." "Well, there is something we could try," said Katie. "Anything!" "Okay," said Katie. "So you're too scared to go back to the pool. But could you look at this picture of a pool?" "Take it away," said Mojo. "Okay, what about now?" said Katie, moving further away. "Further back," said Mojo. Further. Wait, is it further or farther?" "Okay, that's not so bad," said Mojo. "What about now?" shouted Katie, taking a step forward. Okay, but just stay there," he said. "Okay," said Katie. "Just tell me when I can take another step forward." Mojo eventually calmed down. Katy took another step forward, then another. Eventually, Mojo was holding the picture of the pool in his hands. "You did it," said Katy. "Did what?" said Mojo. "We're supposed to be getting back to the diving boards, not looking at pictures." "That's what we're doing, silly. Look at all the progress you've made. I was all the way over there when we started." "Yeah, but that was easy," said Mojo. "Every step you took was so small." "Exactly," said Katy. "That's the beauty of the staircase strategy." "The what?" said Mojo. But just then, Katy had to go home for dinner, and Mojo was left to wonder. What did Katy mean by the staircase strategy? Now that's an interesting question indeed. The next day, Mojo summoned up the courage to go back to the pool. But the high dive still had the upper hand. Just then, he heard Katy. "Forget about the high dive for now. You'll get there eventually if you just keep taking small steps forward. That's the staircase strategy." "Oh, that's the staircase strategy," said Mojo. "Yeah, I don't get it." "Remember how you ate that giant cotton candy at the fair last year?" said Katy. "Best day of my life." "And remember when I said you couldn't do it?" "Of course I can do it. I just gotta keep taking bites." "Exactly," said Katy. "Big challenges can be scary, but there's a trick. You don't have to take on the big challenge all at once. You can break it up into teeny tiny steps. Then all you have to do is focus on the next step. Every time you take a step, you get braver. And when you get braver, you can take on even bigger challenges. But be careful. If you try to take steps that are too big, you might give up. But just make the steps smaller. Take enough small steps, and you can do things that used to seem impossible." "Katy, you're a genius," said Mojo. Then he turned to the high dive. "I'm coming for you, big boy," he said. And Mojo kept taking steps, just like Katy said, until, after many small steps, he found himself back atop the high dive. His heart pounded. His legs froze. But this time, something was different. He knew he didn't have to give up just because he was scared. All those small steps had made him braver. So instead of climbing back down to safety, he took one step toward the edge, then another, until finally there was only one more step to take. Now, what do you think? Have you ever conquered a big challenge by taking small steps? Now that's an interesting question indeed.